Hello there, and welcome to the tour of the ambulance variant of the Caracal, which is the second vehicle in my Armoured Fighting Hover Vehicles series of military vehicles. My name is Wimperman, and I am the Chief Designer, Chief Builder, Chief Architect, and Chief Dumbass behind the Caracal Ambulance project. Whoops, that's the wrong button. Right, let's come out of that view. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I built this before I show you around. So I was building the wildebeest truck, and I built an ambulance version of it. And as I was researching, ignore that, that's its lift capacity. As I was researching what military ambulances look like, I found quite a lot that are very clearly variants of Humvees or Land Rovers or Jeeps. And since the Caracal over here, don't look over there yet, is a sort of Humvee-alike, I thought it would be nice to do a version of that. Now, there are multiple versions of the Caracal. There's the original and then 3 others, and I did the other 3 all in one video. It would have been nice to have done this in that video, but I didn't think about doing it at the time, but never mind. Right, so before I show you around this vehicle, I'm going to first show you the original variants, actually plural. So this is the original Caracal here. It's an infantry mobility hover vehicle. It has seating for 5 people, the driver and a fire team of 4. The idea of this is it takes mobile infantry around the battlefield. Now, this is laid out with 3 seats in the middle and then all of the gubbins in the back, so the fuel and the generator and all of that jazz. I then did a pickup variant, which has all of the gubbins actually in the middle, and then the back, instead of being all the gubbins, is a cargo container. Now, the ambulance is actually a variant of the pickup rather than a variant of the original, so that's why I'm showing you both. So now you've seen those, I'm going to show you around this new vehicle, starting with its role and its task equipment. Well, I'm sure you can guess. As an ambulance, its role is to respond to injuries, to provide life-saving aid, and to transport casualties to a field hospital or an actual base hospital. In order to facilitate that task, or those tasks, I suppose you could count the thrusters, because it needs those to obviously move to the casualty and then move the casualty to the hospital. But it also has a clone chamber and a medic station in the back, which I will show you in a bit. Right, that segment out the way. The next segment is its propulsion, handling, and lift capacity. So starting with its propulsion then, it has 4 medium... Yeah, I'm going to turn that off before it gets on my nerves. So it has 4 medium tier 2 thrusters for forward acceleration, and then 2 medium tier 2s in all other directions. Underneath it has no hover boosters to make you jump, so if you would like some, you'll have to add some. Plenty of space there. You could maybe remove that block, possibly. Add another one there. Oh, shut up. Actually, you could definitely remove that diagonal slope there and add 2 actually at the back. So, for its lifting, it has 4 small hover engines on by default. Now, with those 4 on, that will allow this vehicle to operate in up to 3.8 G dry weight. That will obviously decrease when there's stuff in it. It has 2 more small hover engines set to max lift, and with all hover engines on, it will lift around about 30.5 G Sorry, it'll lift 30.5 tons T in 4G. The vehicle itself weighs 21 tons. So you take 21 off the 30.5 and you're left with, what, 9.5? Yeah. So, for its mobility, starting with its maneuverability, it will accelerate forwards at 35 meters per second squared. It'll accelerate in all the other directions at 18 meters per second squared. For its agility, its yaw is 40 degrees per second. I don't find the next two particularly important on HVs, but its pitch is 7 degrees per second and its roll is 16. Now, that will mean with pilot mode off, it handles a little bit like this. And of course you also get a nice view out the window, or you get a nice view of what the view out the window looks like. Okay, let's go park back at the flattish. Ooh. Well, there's its there's its braking performance. Not the best. I mean, it's half of its accelerating performance, so yeah. Yeah, close enough. Right, that's the end of that segment. Its next segment then is its power, fuel and air. Now, I will show you where these bits and bobs are when I get to the interior layout, but for now I'm just going to tell you about them. So its power plant is a single small generator, and that is fed by 5 small and 2 large fuel tanks. And the only reason it's 5 small rather than 1 small and another 2 large, making 4 large in total, is because I've left some of the fuel tanks in that were in the pickup that I showed you earlier. Now it has 2 air vents, and they are being fed by 4 O2 tanks. It has no O2 stations, and it has 2 compartments. It has the cab at the front and the casualty compartment at the back. Just in case you need to know, they aren't linked, so to get to one from the other you do need to exit the vehicle. Right, that's the end of that segment. So the next segment then is its weapons, defences and construction. This is going to be a quick segment. Weapons, it has none. Defences, it's not. It doesn't have a shield. It does have some armour. It has a row of combat steel just there, and the same on the bottom. As you can see, there's hardened steel in front of it, and a bit of steel on the front. The windows are armoured, and then it has some combat steel across the top. It doesn't have a lot, but it has a little bit to help protect you from frontal fire. There's a small amount on the sides because of what's inside there. In fact, you can hear what's in there. So there you go. The rest of it, the bodywork is mostly hardened steel. There is also a small amount of steel for decorative bits. I'm pretty sure there's no carbon composite on this vehicle, actually. Oh yes, there is. Those blocks there is carbon composite, so there you go. The underside is almost completely hardened steel. There is a small amount, I think, of combat steel, or did I downgrade them? Oh yeah, there you go, in the middle. Right, that's the end of that segment. The next segment is going to be another quick one. Resource gathering, production and storage. Well, it has no resource gathering and it has no production. No constructors on board. Storage. It has a 1K SU cargo container which is accessible in the casualty compartment. And it has a 750 SU cargo container in the cab. It also has 4 small cargo boxes, 2 in the cab and 2 more in the casualty compartment. And it has an armour locker and 2 mini fridges. 1 mini fridge in the front, 1 mini fridge in the back. Right, the next segment then is its interior layout and any remaining devices. So before I take you in, I'll show you the remaining devices that are on the exterior, at least the ones that aren't going to be covered in the shortcuts and signals. So 4 docking pads on the bottom. We have a shutter door here and a matching one on the other side that allows you to access fuel tanks manually. I think that's it, other than what's going to be covered later. So, interior layout. Let's go into the cab first. Now, the door and the ramps on this vehicle are manual. They aren't on a motion sensor, so you do need to control them yourself. In the cab, we have a driver's seat. As you can tell, there is no way to go from one side to the other in here. The driver's seat, although I normally leave it to the end, I'll say it now simply because I'm looking at it, has a heads-up display that shows you the key binds for the toggleables. The armor lockers is there. You can just about make out the 750 cargo container in between the 2 seats. I'll show you where that is from the other side. Mini fridge is there, O2 station is up. No, the the ventilator is there. The O2 tanks are either side of it. There's a small cargo box behind each seat. The Wi-Fi you can just make out is behind the mini fridge there. The generator keeps the driver nice and warm. As you can see by the temperature in the top right, it doesn't actually affect you. Some weirdness may occur if you're on a bit of a slopey ground. Do bear that in mind. Right, I'm going to run round to the other side. Oh, you just can catch a glimpse of the core, which is in the middle, behind the seats and that cargo container. Right, run round the front. So there's the cargo container there. There's the what's it called? Detector. My God, brain. There's the other small cargo box. That block there is nothing. I'll get to that in a minute. Right, as you can see, there's a window in the roof. What you might call an what was it? An alpine window. There is no matching one on the other side. So, as you saw before I turned the signal off, this ramp is in fact motion sensor controlled by that motion sensor there. The door isn't. The door is manual. Very small and cramped in here, but it has a pretend make-believe bed for the casualty. There's the cargo container in the casualty compartment, the 1001. Clone chamber, medic station, mini fridge, motion sensor for the light. Well, actually 2 lights. And then under the bed in the mirror image spot of the fridge is the ventilator. You can just make out the bottom of it there. And then 2 small cargo boxes. And that's your lot in there. Right, so that's the end of that segment. So the next segment then is its shortcuts and signals. So starting with the device group toggleables. The first one, as usual, is propulsion, etc. Siren. How ironic when I'm touring an ambulance is going past. Nina. Elion, can we get some... actually, that might annoy people. Can we? I was going to say, can we get some sound blocks so that we can have sirens and like red alert alarms and stuff? But that, yeah, some people might get annoyed with that. Okay, propulsion, etc. will turn on all of the thrusters and what I referred to earlier is the default hover engines, blah, blah, blah. The next one down is max lift. That'll turn on the other 2 hover engines. So the headlights obviously will turn on the headlights. There are 2 spotlight blocks on the front. And the next one down is ventilator. Now, for those who have seen this... me talk about this in other videos already, I will cover really quickly so that those who haven't will still get the information. So if we have a look at the power left and we turn oxygen off, that doesn't change because it just stops blowing air into the compartments and sucks in the air that is in there. However, I've given you a ventilator switch to save some power, which means if you're in an atmosphere that is breathable, you don't use up as much fuel. Right, oh, I don't need to close that. So, moving on to the signals. The first one is power save. Doesn't do much on this vehicle. It will turn off the motion sensors and the switch. Oh, I forgot to show you the switch. In the front is the switch that controls that light. Power save will turn those off, which means this ramp will also be manual. Oh, I should say, by the way, that it's RP, obviously, but the reason that is on a motion sensor is so that you don't need to let go of any, air quotes, stretcher in order to push it. I mean, that's quite a slope, actually, but that's why it's there, to push the stretcher up without letting go. The other thing it will turn off is the Wi-Fi, and I'm pretty sure that's it. The fridge is not on power save, that's left manual, because I don't want you to accidentally turn it off and ruin any food in there. The next one down is the emergency beacons. Now, because it's a military ambulance, it doesn't have many. For those of you who haven't seen my civilian ambulance, that has a lot of lights, but as you can see by these images here, military ambulances quite often don't have any lights at all, and if they do, it's just one or two. I mean, there's an exception, but where's the old ambulance? There, that has a single beacon on the top that spins around, and there's quite a few like that. There's one. So I haven't given you many, but it does have some, so you can pretend to Nina. Next one down, of course, it has tail lights, my red flares on the back. If you don't like them, you can turn them off, and if you hate them, you can multi-tool them off. And the last one down is closed doors. So if you accidentally, for example, leave that door open and that shutter open, and then you open this door and get into the seat, you then go into third person view and notice that they're all open. I didn't want you to have to get out the seat again, so you flick that switch and it will close any that have been left open, and it'll only close them, it won't open them again. For example, no opening. Right, that's the end of that segment. So the next and last segment is its CPU and upgrading. So it's a tier 1 CPU. It's just over, it's just under 4,500 out of the 5,000. Now, for those skipping through the video, the core, I'm going to show you properly this time, is just there. It's just behind the seats in the center line. And upgrading, well, there is no built-in upgrade path. That doesn't mean you can't personalize it, but there is no path built in. There is no slots available for shields and, CPU extenders and stuff that are built in. That said, if, for example, that block just there behind the passenger seat happens to break, and then a tier 2 CPU extender happens to find its way into that spot that the breaking block left, and then some turrets happen to find their way onto the ambulance, that would be quite a shame, but it's not intended, and I couldn't stop you even if I wanted to. Do it. Right, now, before I let you go, wrong button, there is a couple of things to show you with regards to the paint palette. Now, as with all of the AFHVs and the new MULTVs series of vehicles, they all come with the same 4 primary colours. Now, it comes, as you can tell, in the desert sand, but it also has a military green available that you can change it to. It has an Arctic white, which I happen to think looks pretty good for the ambulances. And finally, it has a dark grey. There we go. Right, there is one last thing to do before I let you go. I don't know why, but I do like doing this with new vehicles. And that is to... Oh, that's the wrong one. And that is to publish the vehicle on camera. Don't know why, I just like doing it. It's like you're part of the process, I suppose. There we go. Right, so thank you very much for taking an interest in the Caracal ambulance. I hope you get some use out of it. And hopefully I will see you in another video for a different build. So thank you very much, and goodbye.